all these faces. Ah, wonderful to see you all. Beautiful to see you all. Thank you.
All right. Good to see you, Phuntsok. Glad you're here.
Ah, thanks. Oh, I was hearing music.
Yes, there was music. I
Very
remembered this
nice.
time. There were some space alien sounds for a moment too. You missed that, but mostly it was music. um, all right. So let's get it going. Everyone, welcome to home. Phuntsok with a green backdrop this evening.
Without
Um,
any projection on it.
yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, home is a weekly class Phuntsok's been hosting for the past few years. If anyone's new to class or to Phuntsok, just a general brief overview. Phuntsok studied in a Buddhist lineage, the Tibetan Buddhist lineage, for quite some time, has a real depth of knowledge there. And these classes were really founded as a way to bring that knowledge and wisdom to be applied into our our lives as they are in the moment. And tonight we're talking about the topic of despair. It was a little cloudy today, so I feel like it's a little bit of a segue into the topic. Um, I wrote up the email and I didn't know much of what to say about it, though. I think it's a feeling we all have encountered, though maybe not one we've explored necessarily. It's not always the most comfortable, or the most welcome feeling. But I'm personally really grateful to have an opportunity to have a little more wisdom around that, and we'll be getting deeper into it as we go. So the class is structured that we're going to begin with a meditation from Phuntsok, and then he'll give some commentary and a lecture on the topic, and then we'll open it up to some Q&A, a little bit of interaction, and then we'll close out with a dedication and meditation at the end. I posted earlier, and I'll post again on the chat for anyone that joined late. There are some links that you can donate to support the class, or sign up to become a patron to support these classes on Patreon. So those links are available to you there, and we love to have these classes supported and continue. So thanks so much, and Phuntsok, I will hand it over to you now.
Thank you very much. Uh, I mean, the title of the topic that we are going to be going into tonight is despair, and I hope tonight the topic doesn't end up being too heavy for us. I'm going to try to go as deep into it as possible, so we may touch it again. So just be aware of that. Okay. The purpose is not only just to know despair, but also to understand it, why we have it, and what we can do about it. Okay. So we're going to do meditation and talk, and then I'll leave the floor open for questions, okay, or discussions and comments. All right. So communicate to your system that you're going to meditate, and allow that to sink into every part of you, so that every part of you will participate cooperatively, each part knowing, so to speak, its part, its role that it has to play. Allow that intelligence in the body to cooperate, be aware of the body, pay attention to that intelligence in the body. It will guide you, it is guiding you. the hints you feel about making adjustments here and there. It's that intelligence guiding you, cooperating. Pay attention to it. Whatever adjustments it asks you to make them consciously, make them deliberately, make them mindfully. And when you feel yourself touching that space that you called a sense of ease, a sense of relaxation, that's a sign that the body is entering, approaching, beginning to taste the meditative state. And when you notice that, whatever measure that is in your experience, rejoice. And after you made adjustments, macro, micro, noticing the signs of calming, relaxation, pleasantness arising, a sense of stability in the posture, comfort. And by merely bringing awareness to these experiences, we draw the other parts of the body, the other parts of our being, of our expression, our mind, our energies, into that space of calm and pleasantness, comfort, stability, to bring into a palpable awareness that indeed there's a journey taking place, that the body is participating, noticing the signs of calmness, comfort, stability, pleasantness, noticing the signs arising in the breath, in our energies, that they are participating, they are cooperating. Also in their own ways, touching calm, touching pleasantness. And finally, in that palpable, same palpable way that we feel it in the body, that we feel it energetically in the breath, also in some measure, palpable, feel it in the mind. And make that commitment to fully enter. Feel yourself at the threshold, in the space between non-meditation and meditation. And it's not going to be a surprise. We are going to consciously enter into the space of meditation. And once you make that decision, remember, whatever experience simultaneously arises after that and beyond that, always consider it to be part of your meditation experience. So with the mind ready, your motivation clear, your intentions clear, commit with a nice deep breath in through the nose, breathe in, slowly, gently. And if you want to, you could hold the breath for a second or two, and with that complete readiness, let go through the mouth. And let go, let go, let go, let go. And as you let go, feel the enhancement taking place in the body. Keep letting go, keep letting go. Stay in that momentum of letting go. Feel it energetically, letting go, letting go, letting go. Leave the breath alone and just stay in that momentum of letting go, letting go. Noticing the enhancements in the body, energetically, in the breath, in the mind. And as you notice any measure of enhancement, rejoice and stay in that momentum of letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. And notice the inner signs, the other inner signs arising, pointing to the natural luminosity, the natural clarity of awareness, appearing indirectly through those very inner sensations, through some of our senses, some inner sound, some inner vision, some inner sight, some inner tactile sensation, even an inner scent or inner taste. As they arise and go, rejoice knowing that, clarity, radiance. And within that space, let's gently scan the body. And the reason for the scanning is to reinforce and validate that we are indeed in a new space, in a new experience, more subtle consciousness. We are indeed in a meditative state, in some measure in there, within some depth within it. So as you scan the body, make contact with those actual palpable sensations, reminding you of the meditative state, the calm, the measure of pleasantness, the sense of vividness of experience, the presence of experience, the sense of definiteness of experience, to whatever degree, and rejoice, encouraging this experience, this diving into the space. Check the legs, relax, notice the signs, rejoice. Check the torso, notice the signs, rejoice. As you relax the torso, staying in that space, bring awareness to the arms, from the shoulders to the fingers, relax. Notice the signs, rejoice. Feel the centeredness of the head and neck. Notice, relax. Notice the signs there, rejoice. And notice the signs enhancing, sort of coalescing into one experience. And no need to encourage it, no need to push it, no need to drop things, no need to grasp things, no need to reject things. Just observe, continuing to simply let go. Leaving the mouth, teeth, tongue in their natural places. Also notice the signs in some measure also present there. Rejoice, witnessing the signs there. The muscles of the face, the forehead, in the soft resting of the eyes. And as you continue to experience this, have the intention to stabilize and enhance. With that intention, now 3 full breaths. Through the nose, gently, fully breathe in, staying connected to the signs as you do so. And through the mouth, release. Notice the deepening taking place. Rejoice, noticing the calming, enhancing, the pleasantness enhancing. Stay with them. Stay at the depth that we reach at the end of the exhalation. Staying at that depth through the nose again, gently, fully breathe in. Staying connected, staying connected. And again, completely release. Let the breath return on its own. and stay in the depth the out breath took you for the third time. Again, through the nose, gently, fully breathe in. And again, release. And as you release, feel the releasing in the body, feel the releasing energetically, feel the release in the breath, feel the releasing in the mind. What are we releasing? Let them be released. And take a moment to take a look at the space that you have arrived, looking at the qualities of the calmness, the pleasantness, encountering them, welcoming them with joy. The pleasantness in all the different modes of the expression of our being, physical, mental, emotional, energetic. Especially the inner sensations pointing to clarity and radiance. Notice their enhancement taking place. Somewhere deep within us, deep within our being. And we call it deep only in a relative way. It's not that it is hidden somewhere. It's not that it is occupying space or time. But relative to our present experience, we call it deep within. There's a sense of knowing calling us to experience it. And because it is constantly calling us, no matter what, no matter how far we stray away from it, it is constantly calling, sometimes louder than other times, sometimes not as loud, but it's still calling us. We are beings. Our very definition is calling us. And that day will come when we will have understood this call, made up our minds fully, completely, and going towards its direction. And there will come that time when we will completely, fully fulfill the definition of our being. No need to try to imagine what that will be like, but rather you can sort of anticipate in a sense of knowing, finally arriving at satisfaction. And just for the sake of being able to have a sense of contact, because we don't know exactly what the vocabulary, what the words, what the concepts should be. So we will make up something. It is connected to the very thing that we are already touching. What is now pleasant, becoming ever pleasant, will arrive, will culminate into ecstatic bliss. And we have no idea what this ecstatic bliss actually will be like. But we can have an idea. The calm becoming ever calmer will culminate to a peace, an utter peace, an indestructible peace. And the clarity will be free spaciousness. The very essence of freedom itself that we can conceptualize as space. Open, complete openness. And because of the vividness of experience, the presence-ness of experience, total immersion into reality, we conceptualize this as luminosity, an all-pervasive brightness. And a sense of sovereignty, self-sovereignty, that is authoritatively unshakable. So whatever form comes to your mind to help you conceptualize this, to help you make a sense of contact with it, let it be. And see it in front of you at the level of your eyebrows. Through whatever sense or combination of senses you wish to conceptualize it, or it appears to you, to the conceptual mind. And understand and feel the deep connection that you have with that. Because it does not occupy time nor space. It can be here and not here at the same time. It can be a completeness in this present moment, and yet not in this present moment at the same time. Because it is beyond these dualistic conceptual limitations of space and time. But for the sake of feeling that we are touching it, we will say it is our future full realization, the definite state, definite consummation of all of our pains, sufferings, striving, living. And it is constantly calling us, using all various means to make contact with us through our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own experiences, through the appearance of other. And every once in a while, you may feel yourself tasting it. Don't grasp, just taste it, even if it lasts less than a fraction of a moment. And as you have that distant memory, even though it happened a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a moment ago, it seems so distant, yet there's a sense of vividness to that memory, having touched something but not quite fully being able to have grasped it, because we are using our gross hands to try to hold space. And try to dwell, try to keep going back to that experience, having slightly touched it. It is a bliss that is unimaginable, inconceivable, a clarity that defies space itself. A luminosity intense and yet not blinding. A peace that surpasses any mode of understanding. A sense of selfhood that is beyond the limits of individuality and personality the way we understand it. And without a doubt, for now, for the sake of linear time experience, it is the consummation that you will experience. And whenever you feel yourself touch it, let yourself completely surrender to it without grasping, without rejecting. And before you come out, I want you to have a sense of the entirety of your stream of life or lives up to that moment. Have a sense of perceiving them. Ah, every single one of these experiences was worth having in order to experience this. And whatever will guide you to that experience, to that definite experience, have a deep sense of respect, trust, and gratitude. Get ready to arise from the meditation. Staying connected to that sense of hope. Let go of everything. Just feel the space of the meditation that you are indeed meditating. Rejoice. Make the intention to arise. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose, out the mouth, and deliberately, consciously reconnect with your immediate surroundings. Be aware of your surroundings through your sense of touch, your sense of hearing, and your sense of sight. Okay. I want to begin with to show what would it call lack of biasness. So I'm going to begin with not directly quoting, me and directly quoting, but we're referring back to the story that I always think about when I think of despair and despondency. And because first time I encountered it in a very emotional, very felt way was with in the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna was in the battlefield and surveying his foes, supposedly his foes, who he is about to go into battle with, to inflict harm and to kill. And he recognizes all the people over there that are very familiar to him. They're his dear family. And he can't make himself come up to motivate himself to actually get into battle and to fight to fight his uncles and brothers who are on the other side. And as a result of that, he goes into a deep despair. He goes into a deep despondency. And here is Krishna encouraging him, goading him. It's your duty. You have to go fight them. And Krishna is supposed to be the divine. And now this human being is saying, wait a minute, killing, I'm about to go kill people who are dear to me. That's not good. I shouldn't do it. And the divine is telling him, no, go do it. Go do it. Okay. Now, that moment, if you don't take it literally, but rather to look at it as a personal experience taking place, that each one of us, we go through at some, in various stages, in various points along the journey. We are Nagarjuna, not Nagarjuna, sorry, and I'm mixing Buddhist and non-Buddhist people with the same similar names. Okay, Arjuna. Uh, we are Arjuna, and Krishna is our conscience. It's that voice calling, uh, making it clear to us what we have to do, what we're supposed to engage in. And that moment of despair is that moment that we each encounter every once in a while. That moment of great despondency. It is an actual revelation. It's an actual seeing, truly, not truly in a sense of ultimately truly, but to see like what exactly is in front of me, what exactly is present here. And a lot of the things that are present, we will recognize that they were companions for a very long time. And in order for us to proceed, in order for us to make progress, in order for us to actually fulfill not only our aims, but to help just by us fulfilling our own uh, uh, fulfilling our own journey, just by doing that alone, we were sort of like adding to the greater whole, helping everyone, making the path easier for others. So along the way, we encounter very familiars who are very dear to us, been companion with us for a very long time, and we realize that we have to let them go. Realize that in order for us to proceed, in order for us to do the greater good, we have to let these things go, even though they're very familiar to us. And these things are habits. These things are emotions. These things are especially habits that have been with us for a very long time. A lot of them have been with us unconsciously with us for a long time, but their aid and support and companionship we felt deeply for a very long time. And now we realize that we have to part ways with these habits. And of course, the natural tendency that arises when you're about to part from something that is dear to you is a sense of sadness. It's a sense, and this sadness, this despair is a recognition of value. It's a way of honoring the relationship. And it's good to go through that despair. It's good to go through that despondency. But the despondency that's what it is. It is a sign of recognition of something. It is not a state for us to dwell in. It's not a state for us to reside in. It is simply a stop along the way, a station along the way. And we have to recognize that, and we have to honor it. And because it is asking us to honor, ask us to recognize what has helped us up to this point and what is helping us along the way. And there are things that have helped us that in order for us to continue, we have to let go of. So this idea of the Nagarjuna feeling despondency, that state that he feels, is something that a lot of us will feel. And if you sort of look at it in a psychological way, what is happening? A lot of thinking is taking place. A lot of consideration of the nature of things as they are is taking place. A lot of meeting, a direct meeting, not ultimately direct meeting, but in a conventional, relative direct meeting of experience is taking place. And it's no longer covered up by what we would like it to be, but rather looking at it for what it is. And what is it that we're recognizing? We are recognizing, this which I thought was me, which is what I thought which was the fulfillment of the definition of being, is not. And that's where the despair is coming. It's like, this was my dear uncle, this was my dear brother, And I'm recognizing, no, this is not my true dear uncle, my true dear brother. But the feeling of relating with them, the emotional reality of having related, of them feeling that their brothers, their uncles, their sisters is real, because there was an association with them as being, this is the fulfillment of the definition of being. And now we are recognizing that is not it. Okay. And this will create this recognition. The sign of this recognition is a kind of despair, is a kind of a deep sadness. And you can take this in any way that you want to take it. You can take any examples with this, right? And even I'll even be courageous and say, in the realm of politics, right? When you feel despair, is a recognition of something that, this is not what deeply what pulled me here. Something else is present. And it's a reminder that we have not yet reached home. It's a reminder of that. So since it is a reminder that we have not yet reached home, then the thing to do is to continue, because home is still calling us. It's not like home, because we have not reached it at this moment when we unconsciously thought we did, when we were pretending this was home, when we were pretending this was the definition of being. And it wasn't. Doesn't mean that home is now destroyed. Doesn't mean that the opportunity to get home has been wasted. It just means now, get up, continue in your journey. Continue. Because you have made a remarkable realization. You're no longer under the spell of a particular delusion, thinking that you have reached a destination when you have not. Taking pleasure to be bliss. Taking confusion to be clarity. Taking darkness to be luminosity. And because they are not, and upon recognition, almost what you might call the recognition, is upon final asking those experiences to, okay, you've been saying that you are bliss. Let's see you as bliss. And because they're not, they cannot show you. And then you realize that, you were not with bliss, you were simply with pleasure. Okay. And the reason for going after pleasure wasn't for the sake of pleasure, even though it may seem that way. The reason for going after pleasure is for going into that sense of total freedom when we fully express our being, definition of our being, that is conventionally referred to as bliss. That's why we seek pleasure. We are seeking bliss. But because, unfortunately, we are misguided, we have a misunderstanding of our experiences. And this misunderstanding of our experience, that's what led us to falsely identify pleasure with bliss. And what we have come to recognize, and this is where the despair comes in, it's not just once encountering pleasure, and deep within what was expected, what was hoped for was bliss, but countless times we encounter pleasure and it fails to be bliss. So we keep going back again. But unfortunately, it's still a misunderstanding continuing to guide us, continuing to make us think that some kind of wisdom is guiding us, but it's actually misunderstanding. When it comes to the example of the Buddha expressing despair, was the reason that the Buddha left home in search of finally recognizing that, no, this is not home. Finally recognizing, no, this is not the bliss that that tug in my heart is calling me to experience, is promising me, is available to me. This is not it. He lived, according to story, he lived in the palace of pleasure. So if anyone could have, if pleasure was it, we should have been the ones who should have stayed in the palace and not leave. Okay. And what this journey is telling us, and what we have to do when we are in this realization that manifests as despair. First, we have to recognize that this is a realization. We have to recognize this is a station. And there are various levels of experiencing despair. And I'll break it down into two main categories. There's what you might call limited view despair. By that, I mean with a limited view of what the self is, and seeking to, guided by misunderstanding, seeking to bring, almost like trying to fit infinite bliss into a bucket, into a cup, trying to fit that into a cup, and over and over and over again. And then the dissatisfaction that we experience with that, the sense of disappointment that we experience with that, where it cannot be. And I'm not trying to be too abstract. And trying to fit infinite bliss into a cup is not being in alignment, not allowing ourselves to be in alignment with the nature, with a nature of conventional reality. That is, we are not aligning ourselves with the very fact, with the very nature of change. Change is an intrinsic aspect of reality. When we are not aligning ourselves with that, that is trying to fit an infinite bliss into a cup. And because of not aligning ourselves with that, we experience grasping. Because every little moment of expression that we experience, there's this automatic fixation. There's this automatic grasping. Oh, this is it. No, this is it. No, this is it. And eventually this becomes extremely tiring. And becoming automatic grasping, that it fades away, you grasp, it fades away, you grasp, and still not coming to the understanding, not coming to the understanding that what you're trying to grab onto, its very nature is ungraspable. And yet still we're trying to grasp it, then life makes us experience the ups and downs, the ups of exhilaration and the downs of despair. And this keeps going on and on and on, unconsciously, unawareingly, we keep experiencing this until we experience the great despair where we're able to actually look back and say, oh, look at all this up and down. What was happening there? What was I seeking in that? What was I seeking, trying to get in that? And you will eventually, ultimately come to know we were looking for the true expression, the true definition of being, in a place where it doesn't reside, trying to fit infinite bliss into a cup. And when we realize that's what we've been trying to do, and of course at this moment, recognizing an endless trial and tribulation of trying to find something that we have not experienced, that we have not found. So it makes us and then we have misunderstanding still guiding us, appearing to be our wise guide. It makes us think that, There's no way of getting there. There's no way of actually being able to arrive at this place where one way of expressing it, one way of describing it is where we arrive at true, stable satisfaction. And I'm calling it true, stable satisfaction. You may have a different word for it, but you know what I'm talking about. Where we finally arrive at a place, yes, this is it. No more need for striving. No more need to strive to, to be myself, to be happy, to be accepted. There's no more need for that. Whatever the experience that is taking place there, where there's that lends itself to that experience of no more need for that, that's that's the place that we've been seeking. And it seems like it's impossible. It seems like at worst it doesn't really exist. And because of that, and if that was true, if that was a true revelation that it doesn't really exist, then despair would not be the experience. Despair would you would have actually have had a great feeling of ah relief. Now I was chasing a ghost. I was chasing something that doesn't exist. Now I know it doesn't exist. Now I don't need to continue to make effort anymore. So that would have been a great sense of relief if indeed this was a true revelation. But because it is at the same time a delusion of it doesn't exist, and yet deep within there is a conviction, no, it exists. Because of this conflict, there is despair. So a despair is, in a sense, recognizing this is not it, but at the same time, there's a conviction the it actually exists and it's possible. It's indeed, even though emotionally in that moment it seems like hopelessness, but it's actually a kind of disguised hope. It's telling us we have not found what we have been truly looking for, deep within, even unconsciously looking. That is, well, not even, but totally unconsciously looking. And now we're becoming aware, more and more aware of what is it that we are really looking for. So when we realize, it's like you give someone something and they say, no, no, thank you. They don't enjoy it. And you give someone, and you give them something else, say, no, no, thank you. Then eventually, what do? Then you, instead of trying to guess what they want, you ask them, okay, what do you want? Then you know what they want. Then you're able to give it to them. Okay. So we were blindly looking, we're not knowing what is it that we're looking for, what is it that we're looking for, but we feel ourselves propelled to look, not understanding that the urge, the energy, the movement was actually a movement towards something deep within, I'm calling deep within, a call to fulfill the definition of being. And we may not even the term I'm just using right now, a call to the fulfillment, to the definition of being. I mean, I probably never heard that before. I never heard it before. We just made it up right here. We understand what we are talking about, right? Maybe call something else, right? But it's somewhere deep within. There's an innate conviction that it is possible. And this innate conviction actually is a kind of, it's demonstrated in the very nature of our being. You could say there is an innate wisdom that recognizes the nature of our being. It's not at the surface of awareness, but it's deep within, and it's guiding us. And it is because it is not met. The very fact of not having met it, having coming together with the delusion of thinking we have met it, that is the despair. That is the despair. So you can see that because of that innate wisdom, we have not met it. A knowing of what it should be is a hope. It's a kind of a hope. So when we are experiencing despair, the way to begin to come out of it is to slowly come out of the confined sense of self that we have to throw ourselves into in order for us to fully sink into despair. Is to have to begin to, because it's a kind of diminution of being. It's a kind of miniaturization, confining the sense of being into a tiny, 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 tiny space. And and that's why sometimes it feels uh, uh, like a clutching in the heart, like the heart is being squeezed, like the space of the heart, the 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 uh, the former of the heart is slowly being squeezed and uh, losing its um, losing its dimension, becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, almost as if it feels like selfhood is about to be annihilated sometimes. And it's because there is this sort of like, it's like a black hole that pulls us into it. It pulls us into it. But keep reminding yourself, this is a realization. This is an actual a kind of a disguised hope, a very a disguised hope. So at one level of perceiving, of looking at it, and it's not like and we should be able to have uh, a way of looking that is, we could say, 360 degrees looking, where you don't pretend that there are things, that there are experiences that are not there, or you exaggerate some of the things that we are perceiving. Okay, what I mean by that is, yes, indeed, there is this part that is not yet achieved, but there's also this part that says a recognition of this is not it. That means a knowing of what it's supposed to be. And if we focus on this is not it, this is not it, this is not it, this is not it, if we just focus on that and not look at the entire experience, then this despair will become a black hole. It will suck us in. Instead of becoming a station, instead of becoming a temporary place, it becomes a resident, and we will live in there. And the more we live in there, the deeper we will go into that black hole, and the more difficult it will be to climb out. Okay. Now, so to climb out, to begin to climb out, is to go into that calling, go into the kind of authoritative aspect of that calling that says, hey, what you're looking for is something that exists. What you're looking for is the very definition of who you are. It's that defines your being. So it's intrinsic to who you are. So there's no losing it. There's no losing it. There's no way for it to completely be taken away from you, because it's intrinsic to who you are. Okay. So, when you have that recognition, then you want to develop a sense of what you might call propelling joy, a kind of joy that makes you that's it. Oh yeah, this is not it. Now let me continue on my journey. In order for us to continue on the journey, we need the energy of joy. We need the fuel of joy. In order for us to summon the energy of joy, is to not only look at the sense of loss, but also look at the possibility that is awaiting us. And also to review experiences that sort of give us the glimpse that propelled us. It's because of the promise of these glimpses that made us continue on the journey. So revisit those glimpses, the experiences that you had in your meditation, experience you had simultaneously, the experience that you had spontaneously when you were deeply engaged in whatever it is that you were engaged in, that give you that sense of, yes, it is possible to experience it. Okay, so go back to those moments of promise, and let them, just by the very nature of visiting them and the energy of joy that they generate, let yourself be soaked in that energy of joy. And don't let this become again your residence, but rather let it be the fuel that propels you further into looking for real home, real expression of the definition of being. Now into less abstract. I'm always trying to avoid the abstract. Uh, when, as your compassion expands, and compassion doesn't, it's not something that you can actually expand, but relatively speaking, we can say that silly thing, and then we will understand what we mean, right? As compassion expands, right? As compassion expands, you could say the capacity for despair becomes greater. Okay, so the greater the sense of despair that you find yourself experiencing, it means it is made possible by a greater sense of compassion that you have. And because of the greater sense of compassion, because of the greater sense of despair, then the danger of being stuck in that, not finding yourself being able to come out, becomes the same. So in the same way that you remember your own glimpses, the taste that you've had that is able to generate the joy that will be able to take you out of the black hole of despair, then the way to, when the despair is because of compassion for others, then so you remember your own glimpses that are somewhat, that you could say, authoritative, that validates, yes, there's something meaningful to seek, there's something meaningful to attain, it exists. And you begin to feel a sense of hope, begin to feel a sense of energy to move forward. Then you can expand that when the despair, when the encounter that throws you into despair is the sense of connection that you have with others, that you see that they have not reached the fulfillment of their being, that they are too in an experience of being stuck in something that is not themselves, experiencing deep torment, deep what seems like hopelessness. But you remind yourself that they too have this spark, they too have this potential. And change being the very nature of reality, the very nature of reality, is a promise. And if we align ourselves with it, then this moment of experience of despair is something that can be surmounted, and that will give us the sense, the energy that we will need when the sense of despair that we're experiencing is brought on by a greater sense of compassion. And one exercise to do is to actually start to, just like we were doing in the meditation, feeling the sense of touching, just for lack of being able to express it clearly, your future enlightenment, your potential, your Buddha nature, and whatever word works for you, terms works for you. Okay, so you start to imagine the complete immersion into that, and start having a sense of this is the theater of temporariness, of change, the theater of change, constant change. Deep within that you can start seeing even this person who seems to be completely lost in this delusion. There's the potential, there's a possibility for such a person also, and start to see the person's potential, start to imagine the person's potential. And that, by doing that, by imagining, by relating with someone where you are looking at their potential, and it has to be a sense of potential that you actually sense to some degree, that feels a bit real to you. Okay, it doesn't have to be like great potential. You see them fully enlightened. That could be, if you can do that, that's nice, and if it feels real. But some potential beyond the that the experience that they're having that is causing you despair, where you see them in that way and you relate with them in that way, no matter what, how they're relating with you, no matter what they're doing with you, what they're doing to you, but you can constantly, it's like that 360 kind of vision. Understand that's not the only, this part that they are displaying is not the totality of them, of who they are. There are also these other parts. And I don't have to focus on that or relate only with that. I can also relate to the other, to the potentials for greater expression of being that they have, greater connection to love, greater connection to wisdom, greater connection to compassion. I can relate with that part of them, even though they may not see it, even though they don't have conscious connection with it. But by doing that, I'm actually creating for a magnet to draw them into that space within them. Uh, the example I can give is um, this is that one is too much. I'm not gonna give that example. I'll think of another example. uh, okay, I'll give you one example. Uh, when I was in high school, I had this very dear friend uh, who was considered to be no bad kid, always getting into trouble. So since he had the reputation of being a bad kid, so and unfortunately, too many people knew him, and too many people kept seeing him, and when they related with him, that's the way that they related with him. They were relating with the bad kid. They were relating with the person that they were expecting to have, unfavorable relationship with, unfavorable experience with, and because of that, he related. Uh, he related that way. He gave them almost like he gave them what they were expecting, and he was very much, you could say, um, very much identified with this is who I am. But for some reason, I don't know why. I can't say exactly why, but I refuse to see him that way. Uh, I can't say that I actually saw a spark of goodness in him, or maybe I connected with him in such a way that I saw his pain, you could say, and because I saw his pain, I saw his humanity, and in a way I saw that uh, he wasn't looking to be treated the way he was treated. That it wasn't like let me do that so I can be treated that way. Oh, look at that! How wonderful! I'm being treated like you know, like the bad guy, like somebody you don't want to be with, like someone you have the right to hate. It wasn't that, right? It was just a habit that he fell into, and a habit that people just fell into. And I decided not to fall into that habit. And whenever I related with him, I gave him the utmost respect. I completely didn't even relate. It's not like the blindness thing, or I don't see the other side of you, but rather I more like I also see this other side. Let me talk to this side. Let me relate with that side. So I showed him respect. I trusted him, which is something like, you can't do that. You can't be trusting somebody like that. So I sincerely connected with a part of him that I could trust. And because of that, he he met me at this part of himself. And it wasn't until much later that he expressed appreciation of that, even though it may not appear, he may not even have expressed it earlier when this was going on, but much later on, he communicated to me how much he truly appreciated that I related to him that way, that I didn't see him that way, but I saw him as something else, and I related with him in that way. You know? When you relate with people in that way, uh, um, I mean, I don't want to use that word as if you're doing white magic or black magic or something like that, like you're changing someone into something that they're not, but rather, but just for the sake of, I don't know if there's a better word of saying it, but for the appearance sake, you can change someone through that, okay? And and what has this got to do with the thing of despair and not? So it's the same way. By you yourself doing that, what I did for him, you doing that for yourself, you don't see that condition where I am not as your totality of yourself, but rather an illuminating experience. Ah, I thought this was this. Now I'm realizing it is not. So I can stop trying to make it into what it is not. And by relating to those experiences of uh, this is part of my experience. This is part of an experience that is as real as this experience that I'm having right now. So I shouldn't give this experience more validity, more realness than the other experience. That would be unfair. And I shouldn't give this more validity, more sense of realness than this. They are both experiences. Okay. And because of the freedom that is part of our nature, we can go in either direction without any force in the universe to stop us. Only we can stop ourselves from experiencing either one, because of the freedom it's part of our nature, our innate nature. Okay, we have the freedom to experience either one. So despair is an illuminating experience. It's a kind of illumination. The deeper the sense of the despair, you could say, the more meaningful the sense of, the closer you are to the sense of meaning, the greater the sense of your compassion. That's what makes the sense of despair, the heaviness of the sense of the despair. And understand it and recognize it not as a punishment. Don't engage it as a punishment. Okay, recognize it as, I am seeing reality, this level of reality for what it is. I'm no longer disillusioned. I'm no longer kidding myself. And now that I recognize this, now let me move. Let me not stay here. Let me not dwell where let me not make this place, this desolate place, my home when that is not my home. Okay. Another example, and this is something very recent that I experienced, and I was shocked because I wasn't. I was not. I didn't expect it to. Was not expecting to experience it in this life. The kind of experience that I talked to you about. When you recognize truth, don't expect the immediate emotional response to be some kind of pleasant experience. It could also be painful. And not all pain is necessarily a sign of being off the path or going the wrong direction. Okay. And when you feel you've touched that deeper real part of you, and it asks you, propels you to act, and you act. And the immediate appearance of a result may be um, unappreciated. It could be painful, and it could be painful for a very long time. But you keep revisiting it with an open mind and an open heart, and you keep coming to a conclusion. No, uh, that was in line with truth. That was in line with compassion. That was in line with love. And if it was done for love, then it was right. If it was done for compassion's sake, then it was right. It was the right thing to do. And don't let the immediate experience deceive you. Okay. So, a dear, dear, dear person to me was constantly, painfully reminding me how much pain I have brought into that person's life because of the actions that I took where I thought was out of compassion or out of love. And despite the constant reminder, but something, for some reason, okay, I admit, okay, at times I lost it. I wasn't perfectly capable of keeping that connection. Many times I lost it. But some reason, because of the momentum, and I can't say just because of my hard work, because of the hard work of the community in helping me, my actions and the community's help. And believe me, the community doesn't necessarily know that they're helping me. Okay, members of the community are helping me without even knowing that they're helping me, even if they may even try to harm me. The very action of trying to harm me might be a help for me. Okay, so because of all these things coming together, the love of the community. I'm not talking about the the community of beings. I was able to continue. I was able to reconnect with. No, it was done for love's sake. It was right. It was done for compassion's sake. It was right, and I'm not afraid to re-examine it. So there must be some wisdom there. And just recently, this person fell into a despair, recognizing and despair that is, looking at their reality. Oh, this is not what we are referring to here. This is not home. This is not where I really want to be. This is the state of being, this relationship that I'm in, the job that I'm in, or whatever the condition that they're looking at. This is not defining me. This is not where I want to be. And also at that moment, some kind of clarity came to the mind, where I came into the picture. And I guess the constant relating that mostly constant relating that I did, in relating with them with love, with compassion, and trying to do as much as understanding as possible. And the very thing that this person was blaming me as being the source of pain, as being a painful thing, the person said, "Wow, I'm so happy that you did that for me. That was such a compassionate thing to do. That was such a loving thing to do." And believe me, over many years of hearing the opposite, I never thought in this lifetime that I would actually hear such a thing. And I guess that was, I was about to fall into despair. I was in danger of making despair into my home. And then I was putting the furniture nicely in the corner, fixing my bed, changed the sheets. I was about to live there for a while. and for some reason of connection, this person felt compelled to say that to me, and then reminding me, you kept going, you kept connecting to your compassion in many occasions. Thank you for that. And I said, whoa, I was able to not make I didn't sleep there that night. I didn't sleep in that house of despair that night. I was able to get myself out, grab my coat, and leave. Okay. And again, and the reason I'm not being too explicit about who this person is, I'm not even giving you gender because I respect people's privacy, and I don't want, just in case this person happens to hear and they didn't want this divulged, so it doesn't seem, it's not direct, it's not obvious who this person may have been. Okay, that's why it's a bit vague, but you understand, you get the picture. Okay. All right. So before I stop talking, the point I want to drive is despair is a sign that you're evolving. It's a sign that you have gone a long way. And there's a part of you recognizing something very clearly. It's recognizing, you could say, it seems like, you could say it's recognizing what is not home. Because it's remembering what home is supposed to be, and it's recognizing this is not home. And it's goading us. And the reason that it is painful to dwell there, because it wants us to get out. It wants us to not continue to delude ourselves. So when you experience despair, spend some time saying thank you. Thank you to this beautiful revelation. Spend some time with it. Okay. And don't immediately take your broom and try to kick it out. All right. Have a cup of tea with it. Sit with it. Let it show you why is this not home? So you can gain wisdom from that. And also know that this is not your new home that you have discovered. Right? This is not a place for you to dwell. Not a place to make your residence. But take the message, appreciate it, honor it, and find energy, move on. And what will help is go into the energy of compassion and love. I'm not saying it in a abstract way, in a poetic way. I'm talking about, there's energy, there's power in love and compassion. And one way to connect with that is, this is a visceral, intimate understanding of the condition that everyone is experiencing. This unpleasant experience is an intimate knowledge of everyone who I encounter in life that they're going through. And a lot of people are stuck here. Now I know intimately what it is. And because of this intimate knowledge, and because of this intimate recognition, this is not home, then you start to expand the confinement that this is forcing you to experience. Let your mind go into the space of clarity, touching others. Think of others who are caught in this situation. And just by doing that, you're lifting yourself the sense of confinement. And this will help you to find some clarity so you can liberate yourself from the danger of being trapped, making this a residence. making this a home to stay in. Okay. Begin with sympathy, let it become compassion. And in that compassion, you will find a power, you will find an energy. That's the promise that compassion gives us. Not only it gives us the knowledge, intimate knowledge, this is what the others are going through, but it also connects you with the wisdom. This is what must be done. And here are the resources to do it. Okay. All right. Oh, I didn't think I was going to be able to talk for so much on this topic. I was trying, I guess I avoided the heaviness of the topic, which is good. All right, so any questions, any comments? And especially having read the email, I'm sure that there were some, perhaps some specific things you may have wanted to touch. Perhaps I didn't touch them. Maybe you might want to remind me and or see if we can do something.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, thank you for speaking about this topic. Definitely know it. So the thing is, like, intellectually, I get this and it makes sense and sounds and feels good, but when I'm in the throes of it, of these heavy feelings, like, it's hard to even care about other people, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just so consumed by my own emotion and like hopelessness. What's the point anyway mm-hmm. of anything, including caring and having compassion? Mm-hmm. You know, that it just feels like a force, just like that has me by the throat, mm-hmm. Or rather like weighing me down. So yeah, like, you know, how do you like move from this intellectual understanding of what you should do? Because like I used to do this when I would go into this kind of darkness, is like spiritually bypass to like, this is here to teach me something and like it's great, and you know, other people experiencing this, but it wasn't like penetrating, mm-hmm. right? So it didn't help. How do you mm-hmm. actually take these teachings on in that moment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Simultaneously, when we are in that experience, there's an acceptance, and at the same time, there's a denial of what's going on. And when we are trying to deal with it, sometimes when we are dealing with it, we actually go into the denial part of it. So what we are actually dealing with, what we appear to be dealing with, is the part that we is the part of us that is actually denying this as a real experience. So as you are dealing with it, should be a sense of honoring it as something that is real. I'm using the word honoring, not necessarily praying to it or bowing to it, that kind of stuff, but acknowledge it as, yeah, this is a real experience. This is not fake. This is not a pretense. And the moving forward should not be a pretense. It should not be, I'm imagining myself walking on some light path. It shouldn't be an imaginary thing. It should be as real as this feeling is real. And the way to connect with that is to first acknowledge the reality of it, and even the fidgetiness. Fidgetiness? There's no such word. Even the sense of fidgeting and nervousness of wanting to escape it, the escapism of wanting to escape it because it's so unbearable. And that's just the natural experience that we have when we're encountering something that is unpleasant. Simultaneously, there's a wanting to escape it. There's an escapism taking place. So even that, recognize that as painful, recognize that as real. I want to escape it is also real. And there's this thing that I want to escape and it's also real. And by recognizing that they are real, that's honoring their reality. And understand that the reason, and then we have to, and this is where it might, the danger of it becoming pure intellectual is to understand that it is this way because of focusing on a particular aspect of reality. And it's not that the conclusion is, I am focusing on the aspect of reality, therefore imaginary. I'm focusing on this level of reality, therefore not real. And we shouldn't make that conclusion, but rather, this is real, and this is not the totality of it. It is pointing to something, and what it's being pointing to is not necessarily, or no, there's this is to teach me something kind of thing. And if you want to say this is here to teach me something, it's not with the attitude or the frame of mind like, oh, there she is, let me go teach her something. And then, okay, and then enters into your life. And we mustn't think of it as if it has some sort of agenda to teach us something, and it will not leave us until we hear or we learn the lesson that's supposed to learn. But it teaching us something is more in the sense, in the very experience of it. Not that it has an agenda to teach us, but if we approach it with a sense of something can be learned, not that it is there to teach me, but something can be learned. And we open ourselves to what can be learned in the experience. And that's how, that's more of the, that will make the teaching that it has for us feel a bit more realistic rather than abstract, rather than intellectual. Okay? If maybe it has, maybe there's nothing to learn. Maybe that's the thing to learn. Maybe the thing to simply learn is, oh, this sucks. That's it. It doesn't need to, have the secret of the universe to give us at that moment. Okay, and until the secret of the universe is given to us, then it has not fulfilled its aim or something like that, or we feel we have failed the lesson that it was supposed to give us. The lesson is, oh, this sucks. That's it. That's your wisdom right there. That's the teaching to have gained, and you learned it. Okay. Yeah. The danger of spiritual bypassing is not honoring the reality of the experience, and it's an instinct that comes with this is painful. Let me escape. Thank you. I hope that was somewhat.
Yeah, that was helpful. I have a follow-up question, more personal. Okay, so like just for the first time in this last year, I've experienced long periods of this, and then since then, bursts of it, periods of despair. And for sure, I'm like, I never thought I would be a person who would experience this, and I did not have much compassion for people who did. I was just like, get over it. Mm-hmm. But now I'm like, oh, I really fucking get it. It's not that easy. So there's that lesson and so many other deep lessons I've gotten. And there's just like this continual like cycling, like when I think I'm out of it, coming back to it, like, and there's just this part, yeah, I could say it sucks, or oh, here's a deeper lesson this time, like the onion, but it's so often and it's so much and it's so intense and deep. I mean, the cycles are thankfully faster now, but it's like, I'm just like, fuck you, I'm done with this. Like, I don't want to learn anything more. I Yeah, I feel like I can't
Mhm.
escape like from the continual return. Like I know in a lifetime I'm going to experience many periods of it, but to experience it in such a short period of time after having spent like 8 months in this shit and come back to it again and again, it's really despairing. How about that? So I don't know if you have any wisdom around it, like around that piece, because when I think I've got it, the awakening around it, and I'm out and I'm free, I'm back there again.
I mean, this despair speaks of the reality of connection, conscious connection and unconscious connection. And we have to understand that it is not just one-dimensional thing. It's multidimensional. And by multidimensional, I mean, it's not simply sitting on a cushion is the sole means of dealing with it. Because we are not simply a mind. We have to take into account all the different dimensions of our being. And this is a communication from all those different parts. And they all have to be addressed. They all have to be met at the different places. And practically speaking, what I'm talking about, not only take into consideration, okay, go for a walk, let your feet touch the grass, or look into the sky, those kinds of things. Yes, sit and meditate. Yes, feel this and feel that. Also, you have to be considering maybe you need to take a bath. Maybe you need to watch a movie. And maybe you need to look into the food that we are taking in. Maybe there's certain food that we're taking in, or there's certain food that we're not taking in, that act as magnet to hold us in the space. So you have to take the totality of our being. We're not one-dimensional. We have to take all those different dimensions into consideration, and respect each and every single one of them. Right? Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna leave it there, but I am not gonna fight you on this. But you were talking to the wrong person. I'm like bath and embodiment and all that stuff, like queen. I just feel like I'm on a deep path of like, I definitely do not linger just in the mind. But yeah, anyway, I feel like I'm just on the rapid path of like some kind of accelerated something, and this is part of this journey for the year.
Yeah. And by the connection I was referring to, so that's the personal, direct kind of different multi-dimensions of just a person. But also, it's not just something that arises just from us. It's also arising from our connection with others, with the community at large, with the planet that we're living in. We are aware at some deep level of something. It's not just I am not home, we are not home. So that's why I meant by when it's not just concerning your own ecosystem, personal ecosystem, when it incorporates the greater community, it's because it's the cord of your greater compassion being strong.
Thank you. I'm just gonna go with this sucks.
Yeah, excellent.
Advice.
All right, it's about that time. You're ready for meditation to close. Okay. You know, I really wish that there was such a thing as do this, recite this mantra, eat this food, take this vitamin, and then it would go away. But that would be not really dealing with it. Yes, of course, when it is so overwhelming, you need some space, some breathing space to be able to deal with it with strength. When you're so weak, so weakened by it, where you just can't deal with it because you're it sucks so much of your energy, then you might need this quick fix of a mantra, of a bath, or something like that, just to give you a breathing room. But the thing is to recognize that there's something much deeper going on. Okay, and until this much deeper, much more fundamental thing is dealt with realistically, it's not going to get better. Samsara sucks. That's what it is. That's the experience. It's not supposed to be something else. That's what it is. It's very construct. It's based on sucking, producing experiences. Okay. And when you begin to climb out of samsara, then not only then are you really dealing with it, and the having to encounter this is not home, the pain of having to deal with that on a continual basis. Only then will that start to be alleviated. And there is the great escapism of pretending. It doesn't matter how long we pretend, it's not going to be able to help us. No. And okay, so there's the heaviness. The sooner we realize that it sucks, the better. And what is this it that I'm referring to? Not fulfilling. Not fulfilling the definition of being. And it's not the fear that we may have is adopting some foreign thing, adopting some foreign way of being. Think of it as being in the same way, like if you were to think that I'm an outgoing person, and you acknowledge that, and you are in your outgoing way, and you feel free. So think of it, when you fulfill the nature of your being, it's like that. It's not like you put on something that's foreign to you, put on something that someone else is waiting for you to put on. Okay, you put on your true self. Okay. All right. that's the end of that. I hope that was a hopeful speech. Okay. So get ready to close with a meditation. So if you as clearly as you can, recall the experience of being in meditation, and let that very recalling of it help you to taste it again in the body, energetically, in the breath, in the mind. And again, see us sitting in a circle, our hearts connected by a string of light to a composite being, which is us in the very center. It draws strength from each one of us, and we draw strength from it. And see that composite us slowly becoming brighter and brighter and growing, occupying more and more space. Until we are all completely absorbed into that light of us. Where we experience the beautiful mystery of being us, simultaneously not losing our individuality. And this us, composite us, continues to grow, absorbing everything into its luminous nature. Everyone, our neighborhood, our city, our state, until the entire planet is absorbed into that light of us. Just like there is no sense of sacrifice of the right hand helping the left. There's a sense of sacrifice, helping the ocean, helping the clouds, helping the mountains. A sense of sacrifice, helping another. It's the right hand helping the left. And see this composite us now again shrinking in size. And as it shrinks in size, whatever it touched, whatever it absorbed, now reappears with the glow, now left with the glow having been touched. Until again, here we are in a circle with the composite us in the center. And the impression of us is deep, is with us. The instinct of the right hand helping the left has been no different than we helping another is with us. And for those of you who are experiencing despair or some measure of it, direct your thoughts, your attention towards this composite us and have a conversation like this. Thank you for showing me. Thank you for this feeling. I am ready also for the wisdom to move forward. I'm ready also for the power to move forward. Gewa di kyo gun senan yishi zozo shin senan yishi le chung le damba kunyi do bar sho. I am finished. I want to be finished with lessons of despair. I'm now mature enough, want to be mature enough for the lessons of joy. Feel the sense of being in a meditative state. Acknowledge the signs, rejoice, the calm, the pleasantness, the clarity, the radiance, the focus. Make your own personal dedication. With the intention to arise, take a nice deep breath, feel it, hear it, in through the nose, out the mouth. And deliberately, consciously, mindfully, joyfully reconnect with your immediate surrounding through your sense of touch. Joyfully be aware of the temperature again, the feel of the clothing on you, your seat. Joyfully be aware of the sounds again, and let your eyes take in light, shadows, colors, and shapes again. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Phuntsok.
Thank you.
That was quite a class. Everybody, I'm posting in the chat one more time where you can find a recording of this class if you'd like to check it out again on the Patreon page. You can also subscribe to support the classes. Or if you'd like to make a one-time donation, there is a Venmo account where you can do that. And we'll be back next week. Follow Phuntsok on Instagram too. We got that going on. So, you know, if you want to.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you everybody for being my support, helping me. Thank you.